I'm Rose, and for 10 years, I loved one man, Ethan Rivera. He was charming, brilliant, and the kind of person people noticed when he entered a room. I met him when I was 16, and even though he didn't see me in that way back then, I carried that feeling for a decade. When we finally became close, I thought everything I ever wanted was finally coming true. I helped him study, supported his business ideas, and even covered some of his debts when things got tight. I never complained. I believed loyalty meant everything. But one afternoon, everything broke. We were sitting in his apartment, the same place I had cleaned, decorated, and helped him hold together for years. I was talking about a new job offer I got, something I was excited about. Instead of celebrating with me, Ethan looked annoyed. Then he said the sentence that crushed 10 years of devotion. "Rose, you're worse than a fling. At least flings don't expect anything." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back. But his face stayed cold, almost bored. 10 years of loyalty. 10 years of sacrifice. 10 years of waiting. All dismissed in one cruel line. I didn't argue. I didn't cry in front of him. I simply stood up, walked out, and closed the door quietly behind me. But that was the moment everything changed. The walk home felt unreal. My chest felt hollow, like a piece of me had been ripped out. I replayed his words again and again, each repetition cutting deeper. "You're worse than a fling." How could someone I gave 10 years to see me that way? When I reached my small apartment, the silence felt heavy. I sat on the floor, knees pulled to my chest, and let the truth settle. I had spent a decade loving a man who didn't value me at all. But the shock slowly turned into something stronger than pain, clarity. For years, I had shaped my life around Ethan's needs. I helped him with rent when his business ideas failed. I covered for him when he forgot his responsibilities. I listened to every plan, every dream, and every excuse. He took everything, and gave me nothing. That night, I made a promise to myself. No more waiting. No more giving without receiving. No more shrinking myself so someone else could feel big. I opened my old notebook and made a new list, something I hadn't done since high school. Goals for Rose. 1. Build something that is mine. 2. Become someone nobody can ignore. 3. Never fall for empty promises again, asterisk. As I wrote, something inside me shifted. Ethan thought he broke me, but he didn't know he had awakened the version of me he never wanted to meet. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes but a sharp focus I hadn't felt in years. I went to work early and buried myself in tasks. My boss, Mrs. Teller, noticed my sudden silence but didn't push. During lunch break, I checked my phone. No message from Ethan. No apology. Not even "Are you okay?" It stung, but it also helped. He didn't care, so I had no reason to go back. That evening, I called my older cousin, Clara. She was confident, bold, and everything I wanted to be. When I told her what happened, she didn't gasp or cry. She sighed, like she had expected it. "Rose, Ethan never saw your value because you made it too easy for him. Now it's time to choose you." Her words hit hard. Clara invited me to stay with her for a weekend to clear my mind. I agreed instantly. Before sleeping, I opened my notebook again and added a 4th goal. 4. Rebuild myself from the ground up. I didn't know it yet, but that small decision, to choose myself, was the first step into a world of secrets, danger, and strength I never imagined. The old Rose would have begged Ethan to take her back. But that version of me was gone. And soon, Ethan would realize the difference. Clara lived in a modern apartment that overlooked the city. When I arrived, she hugged me tightly, like she was trying to squeeze the sadness out of my body. "You're safe here," she said. For the first time in days, I believed it. Clara spent the whole afternoon teaching me small things I never paid attention to, how to look confident even when nervous, how to speak firmly, and even how to hold eye contact without shrinking. It was strange, uncomfortable at first, but empowering. We spent the evening cooking pasta together. For a moment, I felt normal again. But later, as we sat on the balcony, she asked a question I didn't expect. "Rose, do you know where Ethan gets most of his money now?" I froze. He said his business was improving. Clara's expression darkened. "He's been mixing with people who don't play fair. People who like fast cash. Dangerous cash." My heart thudded. Crime. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Suddenly, everything made sense, his sudden confidence, his new friends, the nights he disappeared without explanation. The fake promises. The arrogance. He didn't tell me anything. I whispered. Clara placed a hand on mine. That's because he never planned to protect you. A chill ran through me. The man I loved for 10 years wasn't just cruel. He was hiding things. And for the first time, I wondered, what else did I never see? That night, sleep refused to come. My mind spun with Clara's warning. Crime. Fast money. Dangerous people. It didn't even feel real. Ethan, the boy I used to study with, the man I believed in, involved in something dark? But then I remembered all the signs I ignored. The sudden expensive watch. The new phone he claimed was a gift. The nights he didn't answer my calls. The secretive tone when he talked to certain people. How blind had I been? In the morning, Clara and I went for coffee. I felt lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because I wasn't with Ethan anymore. Heavier because I might not have really known him at all. Before I left her place, Clara held my shoulders firmly. Rose, listen. Men like Ethan come crawling back when they lose control. Don't let him in. Not until you know exactly who he truly is. I nodded, but deep down, fear twisted inside me. Because if Ethan was involved in something illegal, then walking away might not be as simple as closing a door. As I packed my things and headed home, I felt something new growing inside me. Not anger, not sadness, strength. For 10 years, Ethan had been the center of my world. But now, I was the one rebuilding my world, and he was no longer part of it. At least that's what I thought. I woke up the next morning feeling strange. Not sad, not angry, just clear. It was like my mind had finally stopped begging for crumbs and started looking for the door. I sat up, held the small pendant Liam gave me back when I was 16, and finally placed it in a drawer. Not the trash, not the fire, just away, out of reach. On my way out to work, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Cassie. Can we talk? I almost ignored it, but something inside me said I should hear her. Not because I trusted her, but because the truth always hides in small cracks, and I needed every piece of information I could get. We met outside a small cafe. Cassie looked nervous, biting her lip. She didn't even order anything. Rose! Liam shouldn't have said what he said, she whispered. He was angry. And stupid. That's not an excuse, I said calmly. She nodded. I know. And there's something else you need to know. My heart thumped. Her hands shook. Liam is in trouble. Big trouble. And he's dragging people into it. I leaned forward. What kind of trouble? She looked around before speaking. There's money missing from his uncle's company. A lot of it. And people think you helped him hide it. My stomach dropped. That was the moment I realized. My heartbreak wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of something darker. Cassie kept glancing around like someone was watching us. My chest tightened. This wasn't normal gossip. This was fear. Why would anyone think I helped him? I asked. She swallowed. Because he said so. The world felt like it tilted. Liam used my name, dragged me into his mess. He told his uncle you knew about the missing funds. That you helped him move a few things around years ago. Cassie winced. He made it sound like you two were a team. My voice was steady, though my hands were cold. Why would he say that? Because he panicked. Because he needed someone to blame. Because you were always there, and he thought you'd stay quiet. The betrayal stung sharper than anything he'd said the night before. I had loved him for 10 years. He loved me only when it was convenient. So they're investigating him? I asked. Cassie nodded. They're trying to keep it quiet. But people talk. His uncle is furious. There's a missing account, a suspicious transfer, and he swore you were involved. My pulse raced. If anyone believed him, my job, my family, my future, everything could burn. Cassie, why are you telling me this? She finally looked me in the eyes. Because Liam doesn't deserve you protecting him. Not anymore. He already threw you under the bus. I stood up, calm but blazing inside. For the first time, I wasn't running after Liam. I was preparing for war. I walked home with purpose. Every step felt heavier, like I was carrying 10 years of truth on my back. And for once, I wasn't afraid of the weight. When I entered my room, I opened a notebook I hadn't touched in years, my old habit of documenting everything from receipts to conversations. A small voice inside me whispered, "You might need this." And now I finally understood why. I spent the afternoon gathering every memory I had of Liam's strange calls, sudden requests, and odd disappearances. At the time, I thought he was stressed, overwhelmed, or hiding another girl. I never imagined he was hiding missing money. At 6 p.m., my phone rang. Liam. I stared at the screen. He had no idea that I knew. No idea his lies were cracking. I let it ring until it stopped. Seconds later, a message popped up. "We need to talk." I didn't respond, because I needed to understand the game before stepping onto the board. Later that evening, my mom knocked on my door. "Rose, sweetheart, is everything okay? You've been quiet." I forced a small smile. "I'm fine. Just thinking." She studied me for a moment. She knew something was wrong, but she didn't push. When she left, I whispered to myself, "If Liam wants me involved, then he'll wish he never said my name." And for the first time, I meant it. The next morning, I went to work early. I needed normalcy. Something steady. Something not tied to Liam's chaos. But halfway through the day, my boss, Mr. Halston, called me into his office. He looked tense. "Rose, close the door." My heartbeat quickened. "Is something wrong?" He folded his hands. "I received a call from Victor and company this morning. About an investigation." My stomach tightened. "They asked about you," he said gently. "About whether you had ever handled money transfers or external accounts." "But I haven't," I said immediately. "I've never touched anything like that." "I know," he said. "You're one of my most reliable employees." That's why I told him exactly that. He hesitated. "But I need to ask, are you connected to Liam Walker in any financial way?" I felt heat rush to my face. "I'm not. I never have been." He sighed in relief. "Good. Because something is going on with that family, and I don't want you dragged into it." Neither did I. "Rose," he added softly, "someone is trying to tie you to a mess that isn't yours." I swallowed hard. "I know who it is." He looked surprised. "Do you have proof?" "Not yet. But I would." When I walked out of his office, something clicked in me. Liam didn't just break my heart. He put my whole life at risk. And that was a line he should have never crossed. That night, I sat at my desk, replaying every moment of the last decade. I had loved Liam with everything I had, quietly, patiently, foolishly. I had trusted him even when he didn't deserve it. And now, he had turned me into a shield for his crimes. But I wasn't a shield anymore. I was a witness. At exactly 8:12 p.m., Liam called again. I answered this time, but I kept my voice calm and controlled. "Rose," he said, sounding out of breath. "We need to meet. Please." "Why?" I asked. "It's complicated. People are saying things. I need you to clear something up." There it was, the truth wrapped in panic. "What exactly do you need me to clear?" I asked. He hesitated. "Just meet me. I'll explain everything." "No," I said firmly. "Explain now." Silence. Then, "It's about the transfers." My chest tightened. "The ones you blamed me for?" He cursed under his breath. "Cassie told you." "So you admit it?" More silence. Heavy. Guilty. "Rose, listen," he said. I panicked. "I didn't mean to drag you in. I just need time to fix things." "I'm not giving you time," I said. "Please," he begged. "Don't turn your back on me." But he turned his back on me first. "No, Liam," I whispered. "You did this. Not me." I hung up. And just like that, the real story finally began. I barely slept that night. My phone kept lighting up with Liam's messages, each one more desperate than the last. I didn't answer any of them. I needed to think, not react. I needed to stay calm while he crumbled. The next morning, I went straight to see Cassie again. She was waiting outside the cafe, already pacing. "Rose," she whispered. "Liam is freaking out. His uncle called the auditors. They found more missing money. And now Liam is blaming me." I finished. She nodded slowly. "He thinks you'll protect him like you always have." Those words cut deep, not because they were wrong, but because they used to be true. I took a deep breath. "Cassie, I need to know everything. Every rumor. Every fact. Every person involved." If he's dragging me into this, I need to be 10 steps ahead. She hesitated, then leaned closer. Liam didn't just take money, he used someone's identity to move it. A woman's identity. And the initials match yours. Ice ran through my veins. He forged my name. He used your old signature. The one you had in school. I don't know how he got it, but he used it. My hands trembled, but I hid them under the table. 10 years of loving him. And he used the version of me who trusted him most. I stood up slowly. Rose, what are you going to do? Cassie whispered. I looked straight ahead. Prove that I'm not the girl he can ruin. The first place I went was home. Specifically, the old wooden box under my bed. Inside were letters, old school assignments, tiny memories I never threw away. I searched until I found the paper I needed. My old signature from secondary school. Elegant. Curved. Childish. The same signature Liam had once teased me about. The same one he used to forge documents. I held it, my throat tight. So that's how you plan to save yourself, I muttered. By sacrificing me. After taking clear photos of the old signature, I put everything away and opened my laptop. I began making a folder. A timeline. Screenshots of calls. Notes on every suspicious thing Liam said over the years. Every detail mattered now. At 3:47 p.m., my phone buzzed again. But this time it wasn't Liam. It was an unknown number. I answered. Hello. A deep voice replied. Is this Rose Daniels? Yes. I'm calling from Victor and Company. We need you to come in for a brief conversation tomorrow morning regarding ongoing internal matters. My heart pounded. Am I accused of something? No, miss. This is routine. Routine. They were trying to sound calm, meaning Liam said something even worse. Will Liam be there? I asked. No. This is strictly between you and our investigation team. The call ended. I stared at the wall. Tomorrow, everything could explode. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid. I was ready. That evening, the sky was gray and heavy like a warning. I sat at my desk, trying to steady my breathing. Tomorrow, I would walk into the company Liam worked for. Tomorrow, I would face the people he lied to. Tomorrow, I would see exactly how deep his betrayal went. My phone buzzed again, this time, a voice message from Liam. I pressed play. Rose, please. I know you're angry. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But I'm in trouble, and you're the only person I can trust. You know me. You know I wouldn't hurt you on purpose. Please help me. Just talk to me. Don't do anything stupid. My jaw clenched. Stupid. I whispered to the empty room. You forged my name. You told people I helped you steal money. You almost destroyed my job. The message continued. Rose! I'm scared. There it was. The truth behind the lies. Fear. He was afraid of what I could do now. A part of me felt a tiny sting of old love. 10 years is not something you erase overnight. But the smarter part of me, the part he underestimated, knew better. I deleted the message. At midnight, I packed a simple bag with everything I might need. Documents, notes, evidence, and courage. Before sleeping, I whispered, You said I was worse than a fling. Tomorrow, you will regret every word. And I meant it. The meeting room at Victor and Company was colder than I expected. 3 people sat across from me, an auditor, a legal advisor, and a stern-looking woman who introduced herself as Mrs. Avery. Thank you for coming, Miss Daniels, she said calmly. Of course, I replied. We'll get straight to the point, the auditor began. Your name appears linked to 2 suspicious transfers made from the company's secondary account last year. We need to confirm whether you authorized or participated in any financial activity with Mr. Liam Walker. I kept my voice steady. I didn't. I've never had access to any of his work files or accounts. Mrs. Avery nodded. We expected that answer. However, we do have something you may want to see. She slid a printed document toward me. The signature at the bottom. My signature. But not the one I use now. My 16-year-old signature. Copied perfectly. My stomach tightened, but I didn't let fear show. This signature, Mrs. Avery said carefully, matches school records connected to you. Are you aware of how it may have ended up on our documents? I lifted my chin. Yes. Liam Walker took it. Without my consent. They exchanged a look. Do you have proof of that? the legal advisor asked. I do, I said, pulling out photos of my old papers. And I have more. Conversations, timelines, everything. Mrs. Avery leaned forward. Miss Daniels, would you be willing to give a formal statement? I nodded. In that moment, I felt something shift. I wasn't the accused. I was the key. Giving my statement took 2 full hours. I explained everything from the year Liam first asked about my old school forms to the small odd behaviors I ignored over the years. They listened carefully, taking notes, asking clear questions. When I finished, Mrs. Avery stood. Rose, thank you. You may have just helped us unlock the missing part of this case. Does this mean I'm cleared? I asked. You were never the target, she said gently. But now we understand that you were used. And that changes everything. The legal advisor added, one more thing, you should be careful. If Mr. Walker feels cornered, he may contact you again. I let out a tiny, humorless laugh. He already has. They exchanged another look. Block him, Mrs. Avery said firmly. For your own safety. I walked out of the building feeling lighter, but also sharper. The air outside felt different. The world felt bigger. My heart felt stronger. Then, just as I stepped through the gate, a familiar car pulled up. Liam. He jumped out, rushing toward me. Rose. Thank God. Please, just listen. I didn't stop walking. He grabbed my arm, not hard, but desperate. Rose, don't do this. You don't understand what's happening. I looked him straight in the eyes. No, Liam. You don't understand. I pulled my arm away and walked past him. Behind me, I heard him whisper my name like a broken prayer. But I didn't look back. For the first time in 10 years, I finally chose myself. I didn't go straight home. I needed space to think, to breathe. I walked to the park near the old library and sat on one of the benches, wrapping my arms around myself as the wind blew. My mind replayed the moment Liam grabbed my arm. The panic in his eyes wasn't about losing me, it was about losing control. He never expected me to fight back. He never expected me to be stronger than the girl who waited for him for 10 years. My phone buzzed. 3 missed calls from Liam. 5 messages. I blocked his number without opening any of them. I took a deep breath and whispered, Power. This is what power feels like. When I finally returned home, my mom noticed something was different. She looked at me with soft worry. You look tired, she said. Was everything okay today? I sat beside her. Mom, Liam lied about me. To his family. To his company. He dragged me into something serious. Her eyes widened. What? Why would he do that? Because he thought I'd take the blame. He thought I'd protect him. She placed her hand over mine. Rose, love should never feel like sacrifice. Her words made my throat tighten. Later, in my room, I opened my notebook again. This time, I didn't write about Liam. I wrote about me, my next steps, my plan, my future. And midnight came with a strange calm. Liam's world was shaking. Mine was just beginning to rise. The next day, I met Cassie behind the bookstore where she worked. She closed the door behind us, checking twice to make sure no one was listening. Rose, she whispered, you need to know something big. My heart sped up. What is it? Liam wasn't acting alone. The air froze around me. What do you mean? I asked. There's someone else in the company helping him. Someone higher up. They've been covering for him for months. That's why it took so long for the auditors to find the missing money. My mind raced. Do you know who? She shook her head. Not yet. But his uncle suspects one of the senior managers. And whoever it is, they're getting nervous now. I leaned on the shelf behind me. So Liam used me as a shield, and someone else is using him. Yes. And the moment they realize you didn't stay silent, everything will shift. My pulse thudded in my ears. Cassie continued, Liam's been trying to call you because he thinks you're the only person who can save him now. I closed my eyes for a second. He didn't think about saving me. I know, she whispered. That's why I'm helping you. Something warm and painful filled my chest. This time, not sadness, clarity. We need to expose everyone involved, I said. Cassie nodded. How? I looked her straight in the eyes. By letting the truth ruin the right people. And for the first time, she smiled. You're not the same Rose anymore. No, I said. I'm not. I spent the next 2 days preparing quietly. No drama, no panic, just strategy. I went to work, smiled politely, answered emails, but my mind was busy connecting dots. I reviewed the documents again and again. The forged signatures, the dates of the transfers, the times Liam disappeared and told me he had work emergencies. Every detail began forming a bigger picture. And then something clicked. The missing funds were transferred at times when Liam wasn't even at work, but someone else was. A senior manager named Mr. Dalton. I remembered him vaguely from a company event Liam dragged me to years ago. A tall man with sharp eyes who talked too much about seizing opportunities. He was always around Liam, always whispering things to him, always encouraging him to take shortcuts. My hand shook as I circled Dalton's name. This was bigger than heartbreak, bigger than betrayal. This was organized wrongdoing. That evening, Cassie called. "Rose, you won't believe this. Dalton came to the office today, asking questions about you." I froze. "About me?" "Yes. He wanted to know what you told the investigators." My blood ran cold. "He's worried. Very." "Then we're getting close," I said. Cassie whispered, "Rose, be careful." "I will. I promised." But inside, something fierce was rising. I wasn't scared of them anymore. They should be scared of me. The next morning, I woke up with a strange confidence, like the universe had finally turned my direction. I dressed simply, tied my hair back, and walked outside, only to find Dalton standing near my gate. He smiled in a way that made my stomach twist. "Miss Daniels, good morning." I kept my voice steady. "What do you want?" "I heard you visited Victor and company. Thought I'd check in." His eyes scanned my face. It's unusual for someone not part of the company to be involved in internal matters. I met his gaze without blinking. Maybe it's unusual for someone to steal company money, too. His smile faltered. For a split second, I saw fear. "I think you misunderstand the situation," he said softly. "No," I replied. "I think you do." He stepped closer. "Rose, be careful with your words." "So should you," I said. "Because the investigators already know about the second signature. And they know Liam didn't act alone." His eyes widened, only slightly, but I caught it. There it was. Proof. Silent, but powerful. He cleared his throat, regaining his fake calm. "If you ever need help understanding any details, you can call me." "I don't need your help," I said, and I walked past him without looking back. The moment I closed my gate, I exhaled hard. Dalton was cracking. Liam was desperate. And I was done being their victim. 2 days later, Victor and company called me back. My heart raced as I entered the quiet investigation room again. Mrs. Avery gave me a calm, firm look. "Rose," she said, "you may want to sit." I did. She continued, "We found something important. The account Liam accessed was opened using false authorization. But the authorizing signature, it wasn't just forged." I leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "It was created using a layered digital copy. A scan of your old school record, combined with recent editing." My breath caught. "A scan? But who had access to my records?" Mrs. Avery tapped her pen. "We checked. 10 years ago, Liam's uncle requested the school archive for verification during an internship process. A manager accompanied him." My heartbeat slowed. "Which manager?" I asked. She looked at me directly. "Mr. Dalton." Everything inside me went silent. She continued, "Your signature was copied during that visit, which means Dalton started planning this long before the transfers happened. Liam may have been manipulated from the beginning." I whispered, "He used both of us." "Yes," she said gently, "but only one of you tried to make it right." I took a shaky breath. "What happens now?" "We move forward with a full report. Dalton will be suspended today. Liam will be called in tomorrow." My chest tightened. Tomorrow, everything would explode. Mrs. Avery touched my arm. "Rose, thank you. You've been incredibly brave." I nodded slowly. Brave. Not weak. Not disposable. Not a fling. Brave. And I finally believed it. The next morning, I received a call from Victor and company asking me to come in immediately. My heart raced, but I stayed calm. This was the day the entire story would shift, and I was ready. When I walked into the conference room, Liam was already there, pacing nervously. Dalton sat at the far end, looking sharp and smug, but his eyes darted toward me constantly. Mrs. Avery, the auditor, and 2 legal advisors waited patiently. "Rose," Mrs. Avery began, "we have everything on record. The transfers, the forged signature, the digital copy, and your timeline of events. Would you like to summarize your statement for everyone?" I nodded, taking a deep breath. 10 years ago, I trusted someone blindly. Over the years, he manipulated situations, lied to me, and, intentionally or not, dragged me into criminal activity he orchestrated. But I documented everything, and I know the truth. I went on to explain how Dalton had used Liam to cover his tracks, how Liam panicked and blamed me, and how I had gathered proof to clear my name. I presented the photos, documents, and screenshots, calmly and confidently. Each piece landed like a hammer. Liam's face went pale. Dalton's smirk faltered. Everyone else in the room exchanged stunned glances. By the time I finished, Dalton was sweating. Liam looked defeated. And I felt a surge of quiet triumph. For the first time, I wasn't Rose, the girl left behind. I was Rose, the strategist. Dalton tried to speak, but Mrs. Avery cut him off. "We have all the evidence. Legal action will be taken immediately. You had the opportunity to confess, and now the law decides." Liam's voice cracked. "Rose!" I raised a hand, stopping him. "No, Liam. You made your choices. You dragged me into your lies. I saved myself. That's all." He swallowed, shame and fear etched on his face. For the first time, he realized that the girl he called worse than a fling wasn't weak. She was smarter, faster, and unstoppable. The auditors called the police to Dalton's office to take him into custody. Liam remained, trembling, cornered by his own lies. Mrs. Avery looked at me with a faint smile. "You handled this with incredible calm, Rose. Few would have been so precise under pressure." I nodded silently, feeling the weight of years lift off my shoulders. 10 years of love, trust, and heartbreak had led to this moment. Outside the office, the air felt lighter. Liam tried to approach me, but I shook my head. "You chose your side. Now face the consequences." He didn't argue. He only looked at me with regret before walking away. And for the first time in a decade, I felt free. The news spread quickly. Local media caught wind of Dalton's arrest and Liam's involvement in the scandal. Social media buzzed with speculation and admiration for the young woman who exposed the truth. I stayed out of the limelight, focusing on my own life. Work, friends, and personal growth consumed me. Yet everywhere I went, whispers followed. "That's the girl who outsmarted a criminal scheme." Even Liam tried to reach me again, sending messages, emails, and even showing up at my apartment. I ignored every attempt. His apologies no longer held power. His words no longer mattered. Months passed. I finally allowed myself to breathe. 10 years of devotion to someone who didn't deserve it were replaced by self-respect, strategy, and independence. I met Cassie for coffee one morning. She laughed softly. "You did it. You survived him and Dalton." I smiled. "More than survived. I won." Her eyes sparkled. "And you didn't even break. You became unstoppable." I laughed lightly. For the first time in years, I felt whole. The lessons, the heartbreak, the betrayal, they all shaped me into someone stronger, wiser, and smarter. I didn't need Liam's love. I didn't need Dalton's approval. I only needed myself. And that was enough. One evening, I found myself at the park where I had first gathered my thoughts. I sat on the same bench, watching the sunset, reflecting on everything that had happened. The girl who waited 10 years, who was willing to forgive, who had been hurt deeply, was gone. In her place stood Rose, a woman who trusted her intelligence over emotion, strategy over impulsivity, and patience over vengeance. The world had tried to break me, manipulate me, and use me, but I had turned the tables completely. And then I thought about Liam. Not with love, but clarity. 10 years was enough. His addiction to control, his lies, his arrogance, they were no longer my problem. Watching him crawl back only reinforced one truth: I didn't need him. I smiled faintly. For every tear he caused, for every sleepless night, I had gained something far greater: wisdom, strength, and the satisfaction of justice served. As I walked home, The sky painted in hues of orange and purple, I whispered to myself. No one will ever underestimate me again. And I meant it. Months later, life had fully shifted. Dalton faced criminal charges. Liam's reputation crumbled, leaving him isolated. And me? I thrived. I pursued my passions, my career flourished, and I rebuilt my friendships on trust and respect. I occasionally glanced at the documents I had kept, proof of everything, a reminder of what I survived. Not as a trophy, but as a testament to the power of intelligence, patience, and courage. One afternoon, Cassie called. Rose, I think you should know, people are talking. Your story went viral online. Everyone's inspired by what you did. I laughed softly, feeling the irony. 10 years of love, manipulation, and betrayal had transformed into something greater than romance. It had transformed into me. Sitting by the window, sipping tea, I reflected on the girl who had waited too long. I didn't mourn her anymore. I had learned, grown, and triumphed. No one could touch me now. No one could deceive me. No one could diminish my worth. I had loved him for 10 years. He called me worse than a fling. I left, and when he crawled back begging, I realized I was never his to break. I was my own, and that made all the difference.